We will pursue vigorously to translate into realities all those priority areas of engagement with the Chinese government.
BRICS Summit, Nigeria to sustain partnership with China in areas of comparative advantage.
ECOWAS has neither declared war on the people of Niger, nor is there a plan as it is being purported.
No plans to invade a sister nation. ECOWAS clarifies latest position on Niger Republic coup.
Your sacrifice and your love for our nation, you fought bravely, and your courage will forever be remembered.
Tears and sorrow as officers and soldiers of Niger State air crash are laid to rest at National Military Cemetery. Hello and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I'm Naja'at Tijani. Joining me from Lagos is Adiola Komiakiri. This broadcast is also being streamed live on our website, nta.ng/live. You can watch the replay on our YouTube channel and do follow all our other social media handles displayed on your screen. We begin with news from South Africa. Nigeria remains committed to collaborating with China and other African countries in areas of comparative advantage. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this at the China-Africa Leaders Roundtable Dialogue on the margins of the BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Nigeria, the giant of Africa, welcomes new initiatives introduced by the Chinese authorities in promoting agribusiness. Vice President Kashim Shettima said Nigeria is providing robust support for Africa to expedite regional integration, backing industrialization and infrastructure expansion. The Vice President commended the existing partnership between China and Africa, particularly the three newly identified initiatives and priority areas of cooperation in the areas of agriculture, industrialization, and human capacity development.
We will pursue vigorously to translate into realities all those priority areas of engagement with the Chinese government. Most of the nations that we have had cause to interact with have a very favorable disposition towards the current dispensation in Nigeria and are willing to partner with the Nigerian nation for the mutual benefit of all countries involved.
He said these align with the renewed hope agenda of Tinubu administration, the African Union's Agenda 2063, and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2030.
Especially to address the multitude of challenges facing the global south, from terrorism to underdevelopment to climate change issues, desertification, deforestation, infrastructural deficits, and we believe that the engagements we had in the last couple of days will translate into renewed hope for our continent and for our people.
Vice President Shettima identified critical areas for the prevailing partnership between Africa and China to include fostering synergy among the pertinent national institutions tasked with formulation, coordination, and implementation of national policies in three priority areas of cooperation, and encourage efforts that promote African ownership of these initiatives. President of China and co-chair of the dialogue, Xi Jinping, pledged to African leaders who attended the meeting on the sidelines of the summit that China will launch initiatives to support Africa's industrialization and agricultural modernization. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the ECOWAS Commission says all options are still being explored to restore constitutional order in Niger Republic. President ECOWAS Commission Omar Aliyu Toure, in a press briefing in Abuja, said ECOWAS is not planning to invade Niger, which is a member of its community. Political correspondent Fisayo Ogunfuyi reports.
It has been a tense few weeks within the West African community. The military disruption of democratic governance in Niger gave the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government an uncompromising picture that a wolf was already in the yard. 4 out of 15 countries now in the grip of khakis was a threat it had to confront. The levers to push in the face-off seem to be the bone of contention, as the president of the commission says it has backed and will bite, but in the interest of the citizens within the sub-region. Omar Aliu Toure says drums of war is not the only tune being played to bring Niger back into the West African party.
ECOWAS has neither declared war on the people of Niger, nor is there a plan, as it is being purported, to invade the country. The ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government has only activated a full-scale application of sanctions, which include the use of legitimate force.
ECOWAS says it is employing elements of its instruments, including an engagement with military authorities, as evident in its missions to Niger, seeking a resolution and a return to constitutional order.
So while we are determined to bend over backwards to accommodate diplomatic efforts, we are not unaware of the true intention of some of the members of the military leadership.
ECOWAS, however, maintained its determination to end the ugly trend of military takeovers in the sub-region. In Abuja, Fisayo Ogunfuyi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the FCT Emergency Management Agency says prompt response and collaborative effort of responders at Lagos Street, where a building collapsed, accounted for saving 37 lives, although 2 deaths were recorded. Abdullahi Ajia, who has been following developments, now reports.
Aftermaths of the Wednesday night's tragic incidents of a collapsed building here in Garukitsu of the nation's capital, Abuja, leaves a memory of pains that lingers in the minds of the community, as well as survivors and victims here. Now, the latest development here is that rescue mission and evacuation have been concluded as at Thursday. Now, the adjoining structures to the collapsed building have been earmarked by the Development Control Department of the FCTA for demolition. The survivors, whom say they have lost virtually everything to the collapsed building, are appealing to government and relevant authorities to come to their aid so that they can start life all over again.
I have about 13 to 14 apprentices for that compound. So 9 wound they were for hospital, so 1 died. Understand? So me and only other 1 we know in injury. So I need help from government because of the 1 we don't losing all the machines. They don't break them. All they don't break them.
I had a shop here before it collapsed. I used to sell perfume. Yes, oil, perfume, and this Traramota, all this. I'm feeling very bad because I can say I lost most of my things. I asked government to do something so that they help us, because now we don't know where to go and what to do.
As we speak, the entire environment is being cordoned off and being secured by the security operatives. Abdullah Hajia, NTA News.
Another tragedy. The Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa says criminals in the recent killing of officers and soldiers in Niger State will be traced and eliminated. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that General Musa gave the assurance at the burial of some of the casualties at the National Military Cemetery, Abuja.
It's an emotional event as widows, military officers and dignitaries assembled at the National Military Cemetery in Abuja for the burial of officers and soldiers who are casualties of the August 14, 2023 ambush and air crash in Niger State. 20 out of the 36 casualties have been buried at this National Military Cemetery, while others have already been laid to rest in other locations.
We must avenge this. those that did this and those that have continued to kill our men, wherever they are, we will get them out, we will smoke them out, and we ensure that they never have opportunity to kill any other person. That I assure you. To our fallen heroes, we say thank you. Thank you for your unwavering commitment to duty, your sacrifice, and your love for our nation. You fought bravely, and your courage will forever be remembered. To the families who have lost loved ones, no words can ease your pain, but we hope that you will find solace in the knowledge that your loved ones made an indelible mark in our nation's history.
Details of the incident indicate that 22 soldiers and 3 officers were killed, while 7 others injured in combat in Zongeru local government area of Niger State. Subsequently, a Nigerian Air Force Mi-171 helicopter on evacuation mission also crashed in Chukuba, Shiroro local government area of Niger State, killing the 7 injured, 2 pilots and 2 crew members. While investigations are on to determine the cause of the NAF Mi-171 crash, the Defense Headquarters stressed that no group will strike at own troops without great consequences. From the National Military Cemetery in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And still on counterinsurgency operations, Borno State government has donated 354 wheel-drive vehicles and motorcycles to the Nigerian military and the Civilian Joint Task Force and hunters in the Northeast Theatre of Operations. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum presented the vehicles to the theatre commander, Operation Lafia Duli, Major General Gold Chibusi, at the Government House in Maiduguri. Mohamed Goni reports.
Security is one of the key issues in the 10-fact transformation agenda of Zulum administration, hence the creation of State Security Trust Fund to support the security outfits in the state. The 50 patrol vehicles and 300 motorcycles were procured by the Borno State government through the Security Trust Fund to enhance operations of the military, CJTF and hunters in the theater of operations.
Security situation in Borno State has greatly improved. I want military to give maximum cooperation to the army and other paramilitary.
Given to us, to assure you, Your Excellency, they will be put to appropriate use to further improve the security situation across the state and even in the wider northeast.
The governor also assured that the logistic will also be extended to police and other security outfits in the state in the next phase of the exercise. Executive Secretary, Borno State Security Trust Fund, Alicia Tima Marti said, the State Security Trust Fund has been supporting the security formations through provision of logistics and other support since its creation in 2019. Based on Governor Zulum's directive, 30 vehicles were allocated to the military, while the remaining 20 went to the CJTF and Vigilante, and that 175 motorcycles were presented to the military, 75 for the civilian JTF, 30 for the hunters, and 10 for agro rangers. In Maiduguri, Mohamed Goni, NTA News.
Similarly, Enugu State government has inaugurated a distress response squad with more than 100 security vehicles to help maintain peace and security and demonstrate its commitment to supporting the Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies in the fight against crime. Chika Ugu reports that Governor Peter Mba inaugurated the squad during a familiarization visit to his office by the new Commissioner of Police, Kanayo Uzuegbu.
The 28th Commissioner of Police in Enugu State, Kanayo Uzuegbu, was emphatic while assuring residents of the state of guaranteed security of lives and property. He promised to restore the state to its past glory of a peaceful, secured and conducive environment for business.
I want to state my own vision and mission to ensure that the people here in the state will sleep with their 2 eyes closed.
Governor Peter Mba, who identified insecurity as an impediment to growth, explained this as the reason his administration is bent on tackling the menace.
No crime will go unidentified. Enugu is secure and safe for businesses and for investors to come and operate.
The state government officially handed over the sophisticated, technologically equipped vehicles with security surveillance cameras for facial and number plate recognition to the Commissioner of Police. In Enugu, Chika Ugu, NTA News.
Now to appointments. President Bola Tinubu has approved the appointment of Mojoyinoluwa Dekalu Thomas as the new Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigeria Electricity Liability Management Company, NEMCO, for a term of 4 years. Mojoyinoluwa Dekalu Thomas has served as the acting MD CEO of NEMCO since the tenure of pioneer MD CEO Adebayo Fagbemi, which ended on May 8, 2023. Furthermore, her previous interim role and new substantive appointment has created a vacancy at her previous position. The Executive Director, Liability Management, President Tinubu has also approved the appointment of Dimla Joel Mchini to serve in NEMCO as the Substantive Executive Director, Liability Management. By these directives of the President, the appointments take immediate effect. Still to come, judgment on National Assembly election petition. Details and more after these messages. Thanks for staying tuned. And now for environmental and climate matters. Some coastal communities in Lagos State are now a shadow of their former selves as a result of ocean surge and erosion. Okunaja in Etiosa local government area is an example. Lanre Bilei was at a community and has details of devastation caused by the surge.
Have been lost to ocean surge and massive erosion. The shorelines are now half the size they once were. Residents of these communities have been moving their homes further back from the shoreline as effects of rising sea levels and coastal erosion intensify.
When I was young, we used to swim from, if we want to swim, we ran to the water like, 2 or 3 kilos before we get to the water. But now, we are inside the water already. So everything has changed.
The other have gone already. So what we want from the government is to help us put breakers. If they can help us put breakers to break the waves, we believe the ocean surge will stop. Or if they can help us reclaim part of the land that the ocean has taken.
The ocean they once looked at from afar is now at their doorsteps. Environmentalists are warning that something needs to be done to stem the tide of the ocean.
I feel that the groins should be replicated along the coastal area. So if it is replicated across the coastal area, we would have more communities being protected.
Communities along the coastlines are appealing to government at all levels, including international organizations, to come to their aid.
Our topic tonight takes us to the shores of Lagos, where the issue of ocean encroachment in Abuja has been causing concern among local communities. And we're joined live by Lanre Bilei, who is in Okunaja, to give us details of the situation. Lanre, let's begin with your observation. What is the current situation?
The current situation is not something to write home about, I must confess. The people are confused, they don't know what to do, and they've been sounding the alarm for the past 5 years. And they are calling on anybody that could help them. They've started building buffers. Some of them have started building buffers around their homes. But the ocean doesn't understand buffers. It will come underneath the buffers and take them back into the sea. They've started all kinds of things, but it's not working. They are just calling on government and any relevant agencies that can come to their aid. The adaptive measures they are trying to use is not working. Right now, they are just folding their arms. Those that can leave the area are relocated. Those ones that can't relocate are just folding their arms, sadly, and begging on anybody that could help to stem the tide.
Now, Larry is our correspondent. We also have an environmentalist, an expert in environment matters there. That's in the person of Dr. Desmond Majekodunmi. And I'll ask this question, Dr. Desmond. What do you think should be done to address the situation for the community, you know, communities like Okunaja and others like it in coastal regions across our country?
Yes, well, we have to face the reality that climate change, global warming is affecting the whole world, including Nigeria. In the north, we have desert encroachment. On the coastal area, we have coastal erosion because the oceans are warming and the seas are becoming more violent. Once we accept that reality, then there are measures that can be taken. And these measures include particularly putting what they call rock groins into the ocean. Big protective barriers all down the coast. It's the only way to prevent the ocean from continuing to erode. It'll continue to go. It won't just stay. It will continue to go for kilometers and kilometers. Remember, those people were saying that they had lost almost a few hundred meters since childbirth. So that's what needs to be done. And it's very expensive, but the good news is there's money that could be available from the international community.
So that's in terms of a long-term goal. What should be done immediately so that the people are safe and the ocean doesn't keep encroaching?
Yes, well, there is no immediate measure apart from relocating them. That is, they can be relocated in days. However, if concerted action is taken, this is an emergency. Lives are at stake. Hundreds, if not thousands, of people's livelihoods are at stake. And it can be mobilized quickly. It doesn't take too long to get boulders from the inland area and bring them. We've seen it happen before. Lagos State did it some time back, and it was very effective around the Bar Beach area all the way up to Okunaja. So this is the immediate thing that must be done for the poor citizens of Nigeria that are living all along our coast. It must be done, and done urgently.
Thank you very much, Dr. Majekodunmi. I want to conclude this session by asking our correspondent, Lanre, who was on ground, what exactly the community wants. Well, it seems we've lost the connection there. Have we?
At ocean stop, like Dr. Majekodunmi just said, there's these sea breakers. I call them sea breakers that can be done on the sea. It's often, you know, stem the tide that is coming, because it's like the ocean will come and sweep away a lot of sand into the sea. So, and this, I've talked to emergency management agency, and they confess that these sea breakers are capital intensive, but it is doable. So that is what the people are saying. They say the sea breakers, the other option given to them is IDP camps. And I'm telling you now that people don't want IDP camps. They don't want to be termed displaced in their state. So what they are talking about right now is that sea breakers, that long groin on the sea, so that when the sea is coming, that thing, we stop it at where the sea breaker stops. That's what they are calling for right now.
So Dr. Majekodunmi also touched on that in part of the long-term plans when he talked about the rock breakers. So what are your final thoughts, Dr. Majekodunmi, on this? Your final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts is that we can do it, and we shall do it. And our president has already implied quite some time back that the international community have an obligation, because this global warming caused by massive amounts of pollution into the atmosphere, it wasn't really caused by us. And the international community have agreed that they are ready to make the kind of finances necessary to do this. It can be done quickly. It must be done quickly, and I do believe it shall be done quickly.
Thank you. We've been talking about ocean encroachment in Lagos in some communities like Okunaja in Etiosa local government. And I've been speaking with Dr. Desmond Majekodunmi, an environmentalist, and our correspondent, Lanre Bileng, all from Lagos. Thank you for joining us. Now, the National and State Houses of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Jos has upheld the election of Simon Nwakwon as senator representing Plateau North Senatorial District. This is in the case brought by the Labour Party candidate Gyang Zi before the Election Petition Tribunal, challenging the election of the senator. Ruth Stephen Hoke reports that the three-man panel tribunal is headed by Justice Williams Rotimi.
While ruling on the case between Gyang Zi of Labour Party challenging the Independent National Electoral Commission for declaring Simon Nwakwon of the PDP as duly elected, dismissed the petitioner's plea on grounds of lack of merit to institute a suit on overvoting, non-compliance to 2022 Electoral Act, as witnesses depend on second-hand information. One of the grounds for which the Labour Party was at the tribunal challenging the election of the respondent is lack of structure by the third respondent, which is PDP, to nominate and sponsor the second respondent.
It is evidently clear from the judgments read in open tribunal that both of them are a hallmark of erudition. Their lordships painstakingly and commendably dealt with every issue raised and canvassed by respective parties, counsel to the parties. Particularly, the mind-boggling issue of whether PDP had structure, let alone nominating and sponsoring its candidates, was confronted head-on in the two judgments.
I will not say much until after the Court of Appeal decision issue of pre-election. You cannot benefit on your illegality. The court say, do this. You refuse to do it.
Similarly, on the case between Musa Avia Aga of the People's Democratic Party brought by the People's Redemption Party, challenging the declaration of Musa Aga as member representing Jos North Bassa constituency, the judgment read that the petitioners could not prove the allegations of overvoting and could not also present vivas and voter register in Jos. Ruth Stephen Hoke, NTA News.
Now to humanitarian activities and empowerment. Days after it pledged support to the Renewed Hope initiative of Nigeria's First Lady, the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DEPOA, has made good its promise with the donation of food items to the initiative. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports.
While Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu may have taken on the burden of improving the welfare of women and other vulnerable groups in the country through our pet project, Renewed Hope Initiative, achieving full and sustained actualization of that mission requires the input of all well-meaning Nigerians. Ironically, women who are the intended beneficiaries of our initiative are taking the lead in response to our call for support. These food items, including bags of rice, semovita and groundnut oil, as well as clothing materials, are what Defense Staff and Police Officers' Wives Association, the POA, is handing over to the RHI to support the cause.
The POA is known for empowering youth, women, children. We organize seminars and trainings for those in the barracks, outside the barracks, and the environment. When our mother came on board with this Renewed Hope initiative, so we felt that it's also a good thing for us to support our idea.
Receiving the items on behalf of the First Lady, a member of the Renewed Hope Initiative Governing Board, Professor Afsatu Ganduje, appreciated the POA for the gesture with a promise that the items will be judiciously distributed to the needy.
This is exactly what we require in Nigeria. This is what is going to bring love, care, and unity among all of us. So the project is not just for First Lady, it is for all Nigerians.
The story of collaboration for empowerment is expected to continue as more well-meaning Nigerians lend their support to the cause. In Abuja, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the enthusiasm of Nigerian women to embrace ICT as a national resource will not only help in bridging gaps in digital literacy, but also expand the frontiers of development in the country if well tapped. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this at the closing ceremony of the Maiden Renewed Hope Initiative, NITDA Women ICT Training and Empowerment in Abuja. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that the first batch of 35 participants went home with a take-off fund and a laptop each.
They came in as rookies 5 days ago, but with their eyes and mind set on acquiring requisite skills in ICT. And as shown in their own testimonies, they were not disappointed. A collaboration between Renewed Hope Initiative and NITDA provided them the right platform, and here they are, fully baked, ready and raring to go.
And this is my evidence. This is what I've designed. And as a copy editor, I have joined one of the biggest online platforms for freelancers. I've also learned how to promote my services through social media platforms and websites.
This site is a cheering one for the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, whose vision and compassion for women yielded these fruits.
The importance of digital literacy and its role in fostering economic independence cannot be overemphasized. In a world driven by technology, these skills empower women to take control of their lives, contribute to their communities, and seize opportunities.
As they step out one after the other to collect their laptop and a seed fund of 100,000 naira each, they also got an icing on the cake with these inspiring words of advice.
Remember, the road ahead might be challenging, but it is your commitment and determination that will make the difference. It is my hope that you will go on to achieve remarkable feats.
For the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Bosun Tijani, this venture will certainly serve to boost ongoing effort by the federal government to bridge digital gaps and set more women on a path to engage in local and global digital economy.
This program represents a critical step in this direction, but also aligns with two priority areas of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda. The first one being the investment in the digital economy to empower Nigerians with new skills but also sustainable jobs.
You are going back home empowered to safely and responsibly use digital platforms.
The beneficiaries are expected to mentor other young women. In the State House, Adeni Taiwo, NTA News.
Still on learning, all is now set for the smooth takeoff of El Amin University Minna, aimed at driving the passion of its founder and former Nigerian First Lady, late Dr. Mariam Babangida, which seeks to bring to bear human development to improve and add value to nation building. The director of the Citadel of Learning, Mohammed Babangida, made this known during the graduation ceremony of 80 students from its secondary school for the 2022-2023 academic session. Dahiru Kure completes the report.
The 80 graduating secondary students of the 2022 and 2023 academic session and those in primary and nursery session of the institution have undergone intensive assessment process using structured teaching methods and are certified to proceed to the next levels of their academic pursuits. Mohammed Awal Dangana, who was the star students of the 2022 and 2023 academic session, went home with a cash prize of 350,000 naira, a laptop, and a 100% scholarship to study any course of his choice at the El Amin University, while others who also distinguished themselves were honored.
The quality of education that they've given me here is truly amazing.
El Amin International School, Minna, has in the last 30 years of its existence groomed more than 21,000 pupils and students to become better citizens. The institution's quest to further produce world-class digital citizens whose aim is to compete with the best around the world has further been demonstrated with the establishment of El Amin University, expected to commence in September this year.
At any level, the nation should expect the best. We're adding to the value of nation building by producing well-educated, well-skilled students.
What I will advise them to be is to be a different university. it must also be well-grounded.
The university, which is an offshoot of the El Amin International School, Mina, will commence with 2 faculties of Natural and Applied Sciences, Management and Social Sciences that will run 19 programs, with more faculties and schools to be added as the year goes by. In Mina, Dahir Kure, NTA News.
It's time now to join Lagos for more reports, and Adiola will be our guide. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Najati. Finding a lasting solution to security challenges in the country is now looking brighter as the 24th edition of the Nigerian Army Combat Service Support Training has provided the needed impetus to rejigging tactical readiness. At the close of the training in Lagos, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, assured members of the public that the Army is better positioned and fortified to achieving this mandate. Olumide Guntola reports.
With the theme Sustainable Logistics Support System for the Nigerian Army towards achieving constitutional responsibilities within joint environment, the Nigerian Army is harnessing its potentials internally and externally to restore normalcy through the 2023 Combat Service Support Training. Represented at the event, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, emphasized the importance of maintaining loyalty to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He assured members of the public that the Nigerian Army remains committed to its roles, both in times of peace and conflict. The exhibition stands and displays by both military and civilian exhibitors speak volume of the Nigerian Army breakthrough in terms of locally made weapons.
These efforts will no doubt reduce usage of foreign exchange, since they are locally produced, has a ripple effect on our local economy, and it will enhance our operational capability, since these items are at our beck and call. So we partner with them so that we can, this thing hitherto imported into the country can be locally produced within the country. So efforts are in this direction towards meeting some of our local defense needs.
The training also provided opportunity for the Nigerian Army to foster civil-military relationship through a medical outreach for residents of Mushin area of Lagos State, among other projects. In Lagos, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
Now to the ease of doing business. In scrambling for sustainable way of encouraging export, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council says 21 laws inhibiting ease of doing business in Nigeria have been amended while codifying Executive Order 01. But beyond policy, the Nigerian Shippers Council wants the removal of impediment to logistics, citing the incessant detention of already cleared cargoes by the police as one of the challenges. The Executive Secretary, Emmanuel Jime, observed that any delay within the trade timeline will translate into cost. Michael Olaleye reports.
Simplifying the process of doing business in Nigeria like ABC is the mandate of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC. And since inception in 2016, different reforms like reduction of agencies at the nation's ports are indicators of being on the right path. This review meeting with major stakeholders is to re-evaluate the efficiency of various reforms and make suggestions for future amendments. And while the prospect of creating a single interface is high, PEBEC hinted on the introduction of default approval.
When default approval kicks on, you don't, as an expert, need to necessarily notify the MD. What we just need to do is to request for the issuance of a certificate. And what we have also done, because we've also sufficiently engaged the legal community, because we want this act also to be tested.
The Nigerian Shippers Council believes stabilizing the Naira in the international market rests solely on the volume of exports, and it is complementing policy direction with facilitation of trade, knowing fully well the implication of delaying one.
We've identified them. It's now for us to aggregate these challenges and then address them. Because it's not just the tariff, there's also the process for getting these goods outside the country. Now, each government agency represented here will now need to go back and look at their processes.
All of us must come together and see how do we remove the number of the time to export, at our port to the sub-Saharan average.
Reducing the checklist for export goods and understanding the import procedures of cargo destinations are suggestions stakeholders agreed will fast-track the goal of boosting trade. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Lagos. The news will continue after this break, but do not forget that you can still follow the broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. To stay with us.
Thanks for staying tuned. The new president and chairman of the Council of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations and council members have been charged to take the institute to greater heights for greater leadership change. Hamman Jabani reports.
The Nigerian Institute of Public Relations has elected Dr. Ike Nielaku alongside 16 others as members of the governing council of the institute at the end of the institute annual general meeting in Abuja. The institute is run by 22-member governing council comprising 17 elected members and 5 nominees of the federal government. The elected members will form an electoral college to elect the president and vice president, who are also to double as chairman and vice chairman of the governing council for a tenure of 2 years, which saw to the election of Nielaku as president and chairman of council. While taking over, Ike Nielaku and members of the council were charged to do better and see to the realization of the institute dreams.
We have no other trajectory to go to but up. Down is not an option. In fact, maintaining it is not an option. We want to see it surpassed.
Without being transparent to each other, without being forgiving each other, without being truthful to each other, without being helpful in every task to each other, our productivity may not get mileage.
What next for the new president and his council?
It is goodbye to quackery. Those who have existed in the fringes are now given opportunity to come to the center and become part and parcel of this beautiful profession. But if they prefer to remain where they are and think that they can practice, it is over.
The new president is the executive vice chairman of Right Angle PR and executive secretary of the governing board of the Nigerian Prize for Leadership. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Up next is business news, and Benny Adams is standing by with all the latest in the world of business.
Thank you and welcome to business. Now, unclaimed dividends in the capital market rose from 189 billion naira as at December 2022 to 190 billion naira at present. Director General Securities and Exchange Commission Lamido Yuguda disclosed that the Commission, in collaboration with the Institute of Capital Market Registrars and the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System, is working to enhance the e-dividend portal. This was at the second meeting of the Capital Market Committee for the year 2023. Yuguda, who attributed the remarkable 5.23% surge in market capitalization on the first day of resumption of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to anticipation of market reforms, urged the market players to support current economic reforms. He added that efforts at strengthening the market's attractiveness through streamlining listing processes, advocating for smoother issuances, and encouraging private equity involvement in the infrastructure sector are underway.
To enhance approval procedures aiming to render listing processes more streamlined, more efficient, and economically viable.
And now with the BRICS made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa now expanding to include Argentina, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, come January 1st, 2024, the GDP of BRICS is now 37% of global GDP and 46% of the world's population. We now bring you takeaways from the summit.
Approve the creation of a working group so that we can study the adoption of unit currency as reference for the BRICS. This measure could increase our options for means of payment and reduce our vulnerabilities. We will continue to advocate themes with direct impact of the quality of lives of our peoples, as fighting hunger, poverty, and inequality, and the promotion of sustainable development.
Yeah, developing countries should reduce their reliance on dollars in their internal trade. I think, yeah, it is a good idea. They should have their own currency to avoid risks in the international trade.
And now to the markets back home. Investors gain 35.881 trillion naira as the market closes with 65,558.91 basis points. At the end of the last week of trading on the exchange, a total of 356 million shares in 6,569 deals, corresponding to a market value of 4.233 billion naira were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 39% decline in volume, 67% decline in turnover, and 6% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 35.9 trillion naira. Transcorp Nigeria recorded the highest volume of traded shares, followed by Fidelity Bank and the Universal Insurance Company. Well, that is business news. Network news continues after the break.
Two historic international Scrabble championships commenced in Lagos Thursday. The inaugural Pan-African Scrabble Association President's Cup and the first African Youth Scrabble Championship. Over 225 players from host Nigeria, Botswana, Cameroon, Ghana, Liberia, Gambia, Uganda, Kenya, and the United States of America are featuring at the 4-day International Scrabble Championships. The President's Cup is for elite players, while the Youth Championship is for under-19 African players.
Scrabble will be featuring as a demonstration sport. This is another first. So you can see that the barriers militating against the progress of the game in times past are beginning to be removed.
For the other countries, it will be a good test of where they are actually. They'll be able to gauge their strength and will be able to come to the next championships in 2 years.
2 Navy Games, discovering talent for the various national teams while enhancing its combat readiness for contemporary security challenges is the focus of the ongoing 2023 Naval Training Command Games at the Ojo Barracks.
I am hopeful that this sporting competition will further reveal new talents that will fortify our chances of being a powerhouse in the Nigerian sports industry.
We acknowledge that sports assists in the overall well-being and fitness level. We also acknowledge that it is key to stress reduction and confidence level improvements.
The athletes are competing in football, handball, basketball, and swimming. With Sports Update, Gift George, NTA News.
Sports Update concludes Network News on NTA. Thanks for watching.